In today's video, we are going to be talking about children who are raised by a narcissistic parent and many of the problems that can manifest for that child during childhood and many times into their adulthood. If you are a child of a narcissist or if you have a child with a narcissist, then unfortunately today's video is for you. But first, if you're new to this channel, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you and invite you to please subscribe and be sure and hit that notification bell because I put out new videos every week. Also, if you are interested in private one-on-one narcissistic abuse recovery coaching with me, please visit my website or send me an email. Both are linked in the description below. So today we are talking about many of the problems that a child of a narcissist can face, both during childhood and adulthood. I don't think there's any doubt that narcissists make the world's absolute worst parents. But the damage that they can cause to their children emotionally, psychologically, and developmentally can be catastrophic, unfortunately. Many times, the children of a narcissist grow up to be people pleasers, codependent, and have very low self-esteem and self-worth. They usually struggle with feelings of never being good enough, and these feelings can persist well into adulthood and will usually need intense intervention with a trauma-informed and narcissistic abuse-educated professional. Intervening for a person who has been severely narcissistically abused will be different from other interventions in therapy, and finding a professional who is thoroughly educated about both narcissistic personality disorder and narcissistic abuse and the extreme and complex trauma that results from this form of abuse is mandatory for successful treatment and healing, in my opinion. So now let's discuss some common traits of children raised by a narcissistic personality disordered parent. First, they usually will have a very low and very fragile self-esteem. As you can imagine, the narcissistic parent makes the child feel as if they can never truly obtain the love and protection of that narcissistic parent, and they grow up believing they are not able to be unconditionally loved. They will grow up with the belief that love is absolutely conditional and that they must work very hard to obtain the love and affection of anyone. Next, it's incredibly common for the adult child of a narcissist to get involved with a narcissist as an adult and to be in very abusive relationships. Children raised by narcissists have a distorted understanding of love because they have been severely abused by their narcissistic parent, who also tells them that they love them on occasion. Therefore, the adult child of a narcissist will usually believe that love and abuse are two sides of the same coin, meaning love is associated with abuse and neglect. So their understanding of what love is, the definition of love and what it looks like is severely impaired and distorted. Their understanding of love will need to be completely dismantled and rebuilt into a true definition and understanding. Another really tragic manifestation in the adult child of a narcissist is extreme people-pleasing behaviors. Many times we find ourselves being overly accommodating of other people in our lives, especially romantic partners. And this, of course, makes us a very vulnerable target to being taken advantage of and exploited in every sense of the word. Usually we feel like we can never say no to other people, or we will lose that person, or we feel terribly guilty and as if we are obligated to accommodate the needs of others while completely neglecting and abandoning our own needs. Children of narcissists are at a much higher risk for developing a substance abuse disorder to try and numb the incredible emotional pain that they feel. Many times people like us feel that is the only way to escape or to relieve the pain is through medicating and numbing ourselves and our feelings, which leads us down a path towards full-blown addiction. It's incredibly common for people who develop complex PTSD from childhood narcissistic abuse to also become an addict. Trauma and addiction many times go hand in hand. And usually, if the trauma is not acknowledged and dealt with, addiction recovery will not work. You need to treat the underlying trauma along with the treatment of the addiction. Deep feelings of inadequacy are also not uncommon, and this can lead into mental health issues like anxiety disorders and depression. These feelings come from the lack of unconditional love that they received while growing up with a narcissistic parent who never thought anything they did was good enough or important for them in any way. An addiction to perfectionism can also result from this. I know that I certainly developed this need to be perfect in an effort to try and maintain some form of control, meaning I felt as if I could be perfect, be the perfect weight, keep the cleanest house, have the most well-behaved child, then in some way that would prevent anything bad from happening. Even though that belief is not logical, perfectionism takes over the lives for many of us in adulthood. Eating disorders are another common manifestation for children of narcissists. We often feel like we can never be thin enough or meet our parents' expectations, which cause a tremendous amount of stress, and that leads into obsessions over food and our weight. Again, it's a way to feel as if we have some type of control over our lives. Eating disorders are very common for daughters of a narcissistic parent. Children of narcissists may also self-harm or mutilate themselves because they have so much emotional pain inside and not enough resources to deal with it properly. Self-harming behaviors are a manifestation from exposure to extreme trauma. Cutting their skin or skin picking are also common occurrences for this population of people. This usually results in deep feelings of shame, which can put us into a never-ending shame cycle. And finally, chronic and continual self-blame is very common. Children of narcissists learned at a young age that they were never good enough for their parents. Children who are abused by a narcissistic parent do not stop loving that parent. They stop loving themselves. And believing that everything that goes wrong is somehow our fault is usually part of our beliefs about self. Narcissistic abuse and the development of complex PTSD go hand in hand. And at the core of complex PTSD is something called toxic shame, which is a belief that you are worthless and deeply flawed as a human being. And self-blame certainly is a very common symptom. In closing, let me just say these are some of the traits that an adult child of narcissistic abuse can have, but there are many others. These are just some of the more common symptoms and traits. If you are a child of a narcissist, or if you have a child with a narcissist and either of you are struggling with some of these behaviors, please reach out to an educated professional, whether that's an educated therapist or a support group or a narcissistic abuse recovery coach like myself. Validation and support is an absolute necessity to heal from this. No one deserves to suffer like this, and I do believe that anyone who has suffered abuse from a narcissistic parent, when they are old enough to understand and handle the reality of the situation, has a God-given birthright to know the truth about what their parent is. Educating the victim, when the time's right, about their disordered and disturbed parent is a critical component to healing. So if you are struggling, please reach out to a professional who understands this form of abuse and can help you recover, because recovery is possible. Okay, that's going to do it for today's video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me on my other social media platforms. The links are in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone.